Op die kop 7 uur, goeienaand, baie welkom by Fokus. Ek is Lenet Francis Puren. Ons praat vanaand met Eskom self en meer spesifiek oor beurtkrag, rotasiebeurtkrag en hulle uitstaande skuld. Maar eers maak ons 'n draai in Parys, 'n dorpie in die Noord-Vrystaat. Regisseur Karen Dorville en kameraman Byron Taylor berig dat hulle inwoners baie groter hoofbrekings het as net beurtkrag wat op nasionale vlak deur Eskom toegepas word.
Uit die Vrystaatse toeristedorp Parys word berig dat Eskom dreig om môre die kragtoevoer na die hele dorp af te sny omdat die Ngwathe munisipaliteit die kragvoorsiener sowat 32 miljoen rand skuld.
Die provinsiale regering het Ngwathe intussen te hulp gesnel om van sy skulde aan Eskom te vereffen. Heel party straatligte brand helder oordag in Parys en Koppies, wat belastingbetalers laat wonder oor die munisipaliteit se erns met sy kragrekening. Die munisipale bestuurder wys die vinger na kabeldiewe. Dit was 9 jaar gelede gewees. Fokus het die Ngwathe munisipaliteit besoek in die aanloop tot die 2011 munisipale verkiesings. Op daardie stadium het die Ngwathe munisipaliteit Eskom net meer as 32 miljoen rand geskuld. Op die 1 Julie vanjaar het die ouditeur-generaal sy verslag bekendgestel oor die 2018-2019 finansiële state van Suid-Afrika se munisipaliteite. Die Ngwathe munisipaliteit is 'n paar keer genoem en dit om minder vleiende redes.
We had to make sure that we don't give too much electricity available to the community, and we had to limit the current to the community to stay within the safe limitations of Eskom.
Die gemeenskap van Parys benodig tussen 25 en 26 megavolt ampere elektrisiteit. Die Eskom transformator wat dit verskaf, kan egter slegs 21 MVA voorsien. Op 26 Mei het die Ngwathe munisipaliteit meer krag verskaf as wat Eskom aan hom gee en het hierdie substasie gebrand. Inwoners was 4 dae lank sonder krag.
Al die restaurante en ander besighede is absoluut gatvol. Ons is gatvol vir skielike donker. Skedules word nie gehou nie. Ons het skade met toerusting.
Die skielike donker waarna Sandra Uys verwys, is die rotasiekrag wat die Ngwathe munisipaliteit sedert die brand by die substasie in Parys moet toepas omdat die vraag na krag die aanbod oorskry. Inwoners se krag word 2 keer per dag vir 2 ure gesny.
Die oomblik wanneer die elektrisiteit af is, dan werk die pompe nie. En dis pompe, water wat na verskillende dele toe gevoer word.
Kragonderbrekings van 4 ure elke dag is lewensgevaarlik vir Brian Moforutsi se oom en het hom in die hospitaal laat beland.
The electricity in my location has been giving us problems going on and off, maybe through 2 or 3 times in the day. So he needed to be admitted here ASAP. He's living through oxygen supplier and then his oxygen supplier is supported by electricity.
Om die noodsaaklikheid van rotasiekrag in Parys uit te skakel, onderhandel die Ngwathe munisipaliteit tans met Eskom oor 'n verhoging van die NMD of hoeveelheid krag wat Eskom aan Ngwathe verkoop.
The nominated maximum demand, we are still in the negotiation phase with Eskom to increase our nominated maximum amount to around about 25 to 26 MVA.
Eskom het Fokus laat weet dat hy dit as 'n risiko beskou om die hoeveelheid krag wat hy aan die Ngwathe munisipaliteit verkoop te verhoog, omdat die munisipaliteit nie streng hou by die goedgekeurde afbetalingsplan van sy skuld aan Eskom nie.
We've signed payment agreement with Eskom in 2017 September, and we have since adhered to the payment plan according to that agreement. It's only this year where Eskom is refusing and using the area debt as a reason not to increase. But in the past, we've received that. So question is, when did the policy change?
Besoekers aan dorpe soos Heilbron, Koppies en ook Parys sal dit nie raai nie, 'n baie straatligte brand helder oordag, maar die Ngwathe munisipaliteit skuld Eskom meer as 1,26 miljard rand.
Elektrisiteit invordering behoort eintlik vir enige funksionele munisipaliteit 'n wins te toon. Sedert 2009 toon Ngwathe net 'n afwaartse kurwe met die las wat net groei en groei en groei.
In Parys gee die munisipaliteit onder meer onakkurate elektrisiteitsrekeninge die skuld vir sy hoopskuld aan Eskom.
We have also non-payments, elements of non-payments. We have illegal connection, people who have bypassed. We also have ghost vending, people who are selling electricity but not through our own system.
In Tumahole wys Sipho ons 'n meter vir voorafbetaalde krag. Inwoners van die huis betaal na bewering die munisipaliteit R200 'n maand vir krag, maar gebruik soveel krag soos hulle wil. It's not just an ordinary prepaid electricity meter.
No, it's not only this one. There are many of them here in Tumahole that using the same thing. Hence, I will say we have the problem of electricity. The higher usage of electricity is because of things like that.
One of the mechanisms that we have introduced was to appoint a company that will do meter audit, precisely to cap the losses and to ensure that all meters within Ngwathe are in working order.
Wat Fokus laat wonder waar ons van tevore van dieselfde plan gehoor het.
We appointed an outside person or a service provider to do meter auditing for us.
9 jaar later is skuldinvordering van die Ngwathe munisipaliteit trouens so vrot dat die ouditeur-generaal pas bevind het dat die munisipaliteit 95% van al sy inkomste van inwoners op salarisse spandeer. Maar meneer Lebusa prys die munisipaliteit.
The AG was raising concern in terms of the salary bill because of, the intensiveness of our service delivery to the community.
So slegs 5% van hierdie kan aan dienslewering bestee word. Daarom hoeveel keer die ou woorde daar is nie geld nie.
Terwyl die Ngwathe munisipaliteit kopkrap oor die afbetaling van sy skuld aan Eskom en ook meer krag by Eskom wil koop vir sy inwoners, meen die Sally Martin Park aftreeoord dat juis mense wat betaal vir hulle krag gestraf word met rotasiekrag. Sally Martin Park het wel kragopwekkers vir sy Alzheimer-eenheid en hoofgebou waar verswaktes woon.
Ons het nou vanoggend daarna gekyk dat ons diesel gebruik is tussen 7 en 8000 'n maand nou, om net hierdie 2 generators aan die gang te hou. Wat vir my sleg is dat ons inwoners in die huise, ons het 125 huise en nog 25 huureenhede. Ag, ek wonder of daar 15 van hulle is wat hulle eie generators het. So as die krag afgaan, dan het hulle niks.
We are not really punishing the wrong people. Our process now is to identify and isolate those that have breached.
Die Vaalrivier is seker een van die grootste trekpleisters van Parys. Dis ook een van Suid-Afrika se 2 grootste riviere, wat tans elke dag met ongesuiwerde riool besoedel word weens die rotasiekrag wat die Ngwathe munisipaliteit moet toepas, omdat hy en Eskom nie tot 'n vergelyk kom nie.
Jou pompstasies, waarvan ons 6 het in Parys, werk met krag. En hierdie is ook 'n pompstasie, die rivierpompstasie. As hy af is, dan kan die water nie gepomp word na die rioolwerke toe nie. So dan begin hy oorloop by die plek waar hy kan oorloop, en dit is nou by hierdie mangat wat oorloop.
Die Vryheidsfront Plus beskou die besoedeling in so 'n ernstige lig dat hy die adjunkt-president gevra het om in te gryp.
We're really trying our utmost best to see that we do switching to the sewage plant. If we can prohibit it to switch it, but fortunately if the load is so high, we need to do that switching, but we are already working on that.
Die lese van die Ngwathe munisipaliteit is the home of harmony, prosperity and growth.
I would really say that from the perspective of the municipality, we're really trying our utmost best to live to our motto,
tegnies as ons nou kyk na ons munisipaliteit, as dit 'n besigheid was ons insolvent.
Die krag is nou af en ons moet kan lekker teewater kry vir die kliënte.
Bly ingeskakel, net hierna praat ons met Eskom oor die en ander probleme. Welkom terug by Fokus. Suid-Afrikaners is die afgelope week weer op nasionale vlak blootgestel aan beurtkrag. Maar talle munisipaliteite loop ook deur onder rotasie beurtkrag. Baie van die munisipaliteite se elektrisiteitsstelsels is onder druk. Sommige weens onwettige verbindings en ander weens probleme met kragstasies. Nou baie van hierdie munisipaliteite skuld Eskom miljoene rand. Om te hoor presies waar Eskom staan met uitstaande skuld en invordering, praat ons nou met Eskom se woordvoerder, Sekonati Mtshantsha. And it's interesting to speak to you in a completely different context tonight. Sekonati, thank you so much for joining us. Just as a throw forward to what we've seen in our insert, the Ngwati municipality and what they owe. Let's quickly focus on them. Have they been honoring their payment agreements?
The municipality owes Eskom, as at the end of June, 1.3 billion rands in unpaid electricity debt. We have their interest only for the current interest bill is 17.6 million rand on that, which tells you they have not been as good as they could be.
When we look at the Auditor General's audit report and we look at the state of our municipalities, so few really received clean audits. How does that affect their repayment and agreements to Eskom? Have you been able to retrieve some of the monies owed? Are there some municipalities that can freely pick up the phone and speak to Eskom and know that everything is kosher?
We have had quite a few successes over the past 2 weeks, particularly with municipalities in the Northern Cape, where we had initiated action to actually restrict supply to them, and pending, we were going to cut them off on the 8th of July, and a lot of them came up in the Free State. It is so far the Masilonyana municipality that settled its account 2 days ago and made sure that it is up to date with payments. The rest of the municipality, including Ngwate itself, are not so good. In the Free State alone, municipalities at the end of June 2020 owed Eskom 12.2 billion rand in unpaid debt. Not all of them are really trying as hard as they should to settle their bills. And now, of course, they've got a new excuse, which is the pandemic, the lockdown, which has made a lot of life difficult for lots of people. But the reality is, this debt is many years outstanding. It's not been attended to by the municipalities.
Just for context, explain to our viewers what the difference is between load shedding and what you call rotational load reduction. Because I just picked up on the fact that you said we've decided to restrict their supply. In what form and how does that and what does it look like?
Thank you, ma'am. That's a great question. When I talk about restricting the debt for non-payment of electricity, there was a specific action that we were going to take to switch off power to the areas between 6 in the morning and 8 p.m. That means the whole day there would be no electricity until the municipalities rectify the breach. This is after all the processes we could have done to collect the money. That is very different from load reduction. It's also very different from load shedding. Let's start with load shedding. This is when Eskom is experiencing supplies to generate electricity. The whole country gets affected. We are not able, then we have to shed the load and do rotational load shedding across the country. That's Eskom unable to generate enough electricity as it is at this point. Now, load reduction. Eskom at that point does not have problems generating electricity, but there are, particularly in Gauteng, the high residential areas that are very prone to illegal connections, which overload the system, and that destroys the transformers, the mini substations, and indeed the substations. This damage occurs mostly between 5 in the morning and 10 a.m. and between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. That is when people use the most electricity. But so Eskom has decided, in order to eliminate that problem of the damage, which has cost Eskom in Gauteng alone 1 billion rand a year, we decided to switch off supply whenever we notice that power is surging, power usage in the area, to protect the equipment, these transformers, from exploding. We've had the same in the Free State, in Velcom, particularly at the Tabong Hostel.
What a lot of our consumers don't understand is many of them say they pay their bill religiously, but they are being punished for illegal connections in other areas. In the Ngwati municipality, they refer to ghost vending and these illegal connections and non-payments as well. How does these problems affect what the monies that Eskom actually receives? And why is it then relayed to the consumers that do pay?
Let's start here, ma'am. The Eskom is not in the business of punishing anybody. With regards to load reduction, when you have illegal connections, they destroy infrastructure. Even the people who do pay get affected. When that transformer on top of the pole, or that mini substation at the corner of the street explodes, everyone in that area will not have electricity, whether or not they pay. The only way at this point to protect the infrastructure and make sure that people will have electricity for as long as possible has been to switch off power to that particular transformer, which then results, of course, in the unfortunate situation that even people who pay get affected. Eskom follows that up with going to audit the households in the area to check for illegal connections and remove those. A lot of the time, we are not welcome with open arms in these communities because people are clearly stealing electricity and they would not want to give that privilege up. We keep having to go in with escorts. Yes, it affects the people that actually pay. But at this point, unfortunately, it's the only way that helps. If you let that transformer explode because people just opened it and connected illegally, you sit for weeks without electricity, whether or not you pay. So we've asked the people to accept that there will be the inconvenience for a few hours a day in order for them to have electricity throughout. We do these illegal removals, but as soon as the teams leave, people go back and connect again in this kind of society in which we live.
Thank you so much. After the break, we'll continue our discussion. Don't go away. Net hierna sit ons die gesprek voort, moenie weggaan nie. Het Eskom nou sy voet neergesit wat betref uitstaande skuld toe hy besluit het op rotasie beurtkrag. Ons praat nou verder met Eskom woordvoerder Sikunati Mshanja. Just before the break, you said that you would go into an area, disconnect those illegal connections, and as soon as you leave, it's back on. But what are you doing about actually prosecuting these people and making a change? Because if the cycle is going to continue unless Eskom does something about the people that's doing these illegal connections and those facilitating it. There's been allegations that it's even workers of Eskom subletting literally and selling it at a different rate.
That's a great question, ma'am. Thank you again for that question. Each time we go to weed out these illegal connections, Eskom gets security teams to escort us. We call the police to come with us and we lay charges. Now, the duty of arresting criminals, because let's be frank, that this is exactly what that is, theft, electricity theft. We lay charges with the police and the duty of arresting criminals lies with the police. Where evidence has been brought forward about the involvement of our own employees, We have taken action, disciplinary action, and people receive the appropriate punishment. And we welcome and we encourage all communities to report this kind of illegal activity, even when conducted by its own employees. Let's again, the matter of criminal prosecutions and arrests belong to the police. ESCOM reports all these crimes to the police.
Can we quickly talk and get a sense from ESCOM about what the situation is, the tension between ESCOM and NERSA? We spoke about ESCOM's position and NERSA in particular last week. And I want to afford you the opportunity just quickly to respond, because we're very concerned that if some substantive agreement isn't reached, that we as consumers are going to be paying up to 15% increase in tariffs, which we firstly possibly can't afford. And through that, you lose even more. What's the situation currently and how does it affect us?
ESCOM went to the High Court after being dissatisfied with NERSA's process, where the court now proved or agreed with ESCOM that the National Energy Regulator of South Africa did not follow the correct protocols in addressing its ESCOM's applications for electricity increases. Now the court has ordered NERSA to start the process all over again and to take into consideration all of the evidence and the information provided by ESCOM in deciding the next increases for the years 2017 all the way coming now. So NERSA must now go back and implement the law as is required, because ESCOM every year must apply to NERSA for particular increases of electricity, and NERSA must follow a particular process. The High Court agreed with us and said NERSA did not follow the correct process. So within the next 30 days, NERSA will then sit down again and consider ESCOM's application for the years that are already passed. And it must satisfy the court that it is following the rule of law in order to approve price increases or whatever the price it will decide based on the information that will be provided.
Sekonati, we've got less than a minute. Last week we reported that ESCOM has actually referred some of the contractors that you found to have dubious agreements with ESCOM to the NPA for further investigation. We've also reported in the past about some of your workers double dipping. What's the latest on that? Who is being prosecuted and what have you done? Have you cleaned house yet?
In December, four people got arrested, amongst them 2 former employees of ESCOM in one of the cases. Again, as in the case of illegal connection, ESCOM has laid dozens of charges with the police regarding the corruption that has been really rife at ESCOM. We are awaiting arrests and prosecutions on the criminal front. On the civil front, ESCOM will be announcing in a few weeks' time that it is claiming money against those companies in the High Court because for the large majority of them, negotiations have failed. So the process is that you go to court and ask the High Court to set aside these contracts because there is illegality, there is corruption. That is the process we will be embarking on now. And as we have said, the overall amount that we think ESCOM has been robbed of by these companies, of course, complicit with our own employees, is about 4 billion rand. Most of those people no longer work for ESCOM when it comes to employees, and no disciplinary action can be taken against them. But criminal cases lie with the police, where we have reported over the past 2 years dozens of crimes.
Sekonati, thank you so much for your time. Please do come again. We appreciate the feedback and we'd like you to come and explain some of the policies again to our viewers. Nou maak ons vinnige draai in die Noord-Kaap. Die dorre Kareedam buite Kalvinia is vandag bykans 70% vol, kan jy glo. Dit nadat die Handamstreek gister bykans 60 mm reën gekry het. Die Handam munisipaliteit verwag die dam kan binne die volgende paar dae 100% vol wees met die sneeu op die Handamberge wat nog moet smelt. Regisseur Keith Seister en 'n inwoner, Donovan Reuters, het die verslag vir ons saamgestel.
Dis hoe die Kareedam buite Kalvinia 'n paar dae gelede nog gelyk het, dor en horingdroog. Maar die afgelope paar dae se mildelike reën in die Handamstreek het die prentjie so verander. Die inwoners op Calvinia is oorstelp en dankbaar.
Ons as inwoners is baie dankbaar vir die reën die afgelope paar dae na die afgelope erge droogte. Wil ons vir die Hemelse Vader dankie sê vir elke druppel.
Veral die plaasboere rondom Calvinia wat die afgelope tyd getester was deur droogte, glo ek dat hulle is baie dankbaar vir hierdie mildelike reën.
Die Handam munisipaliteit meen die reën en die groot waternood vir hulle tot 'n mate verlig.
Calvinia was geseënd met 'n reënval van ongeveer 60 mm tot en met 14 Julie en dat die water steeds in die dam invloei en hoop om ten minste nog 10% kan bydra om die dam tot 70% te kan bring. Die water behoort ons tot volgende jaar April maand te dra en waarskynlik langer as die water spaarsamer deur die gemeenskap gebruik word. Dankzij die befondsing van die Departement van Waterwese is ons in 'n proses om nog 3 boorgate by bestaande netwerk te voeg. En dan ook in die jaar sal ons nog 'n ekstra 4 boorgate aansluit, wat die getal dan op 17 boorgate opstoot om te verseker dat die water deur pypleiding na die dam gevoer gaan word en gereinig te word dan vir verspreiding aan die gemeenskap. Ten einde watersekerheid dan te verseker vir Handam vir Calvinia's inwoners.
Daarom 'n brokkie goeie nuus. Dis al vir vanaand. Ons is volgende Woensdag aand om 7:00 weer terug op ons pos. 'n Goeie week vorentoe. Mooi bly.